told to love, and we're not defining who one another is. We have to embrace it all. And this is when we earlier in the show when we talked about the Luciferian side of things, which is kind of related to the darker side. There is that Lucifer. But I remember when I sat and I was talking to one of my Masonic brothers who's a pagan, and I was kind of confused about Masonry, and I said, I was standing in this black box, a checkerboard floor, and he turns to me and he goes, I don't know which way to move. And he says, well, you just keep yourself locked in that box. You're not going to know where the heck to move. Why don't you start moving around a little bit? And he says, you know what? And you're having a little problem with understanding. He goes, I have met some of the greatest people in the world, and they actually were satanic or Satanists. And I've met some of the craziest, most demented people in the world, and they were Christians. Well, how does that work?
Well, exactly.
Hypocritical. And to myself, I believe, as a Christian, I am a Christian, but yet I embrace everybody. I don't care what you are, who you are.
Yeah, I agree. There's certain things that fall into the category of just wrong, ritual abuse and that kind of thing. But,
yes.
True Satanism doesn't really have to do with those evil practices. It just has to do with, wanting total independence and freedom and not having to answer to the law. Well, those were lower creator gods anyway. The Enki and Enlil energy are lower creator gods. Yep. And it's like the Lucifer and the Yahweh butting heads with each other. We have to understand that the Trinity of the Godhead split into a plural, pantheon. And it's Sumerian, it's Egyptian, it's Greek, and we have a lot of different personas that have this sort of deity kind of role. And that's why the tarot deck has 78 cards. That's why astrology has 12 pieces to the pie, actually 13 that they're not including. And we have to understand all these different parts of ourselves.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we want to embrace the Lucifer part of ourselves, the Yahweh part, the part of us. We need law and order on the level of integrity, but that's more about cosmic and natural laws that teach us that.
Well,
and religion is a bit of a scam, and we want to embrace the Luciferian energy of independence without becoming completely destructive and harmful to others. But if we can balance the Lucifer with the sort of lower creator god Jehovah, then we're going to restore the Godhead within ourselves and become whole again. We have to reintegrate all these aspects, but each one of them has a purpose and it counts.
And we need to understand those too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, might go down that route. And, Leo and I talked a little bit about the OTO last week. And the OTO and their vibrational, their satanic energy. And, they're dealing with dark magic, dark stuff. And, and even the Hermetic Order of Golden Dawn and these different type of dark entities that they try to bring forward, like the Aleister Crowley, he brought forward, some real dark stuff.
Yeah.
But he brought that into the world, so did L. Ron Hubbard, the guy who developed the Manhattan Project. What was his name? Do you remember? What was his name?
Oh,
Parsons.
who developed?
Parsons.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Alan Parsons. And, here's, and then, just your grandfather yourself talked about the military-industrial complex. We'll talk about, a dark energy war. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's just a lot of dark, and the thing is, there's roles that people play for a certain reason, and that's why we need to kind of unite and sort of, when a person's ready to move on from that role, great. Even it's been said that Yahweh agreed in the Garden of Eden to allow Lucifer to have this level of control, to show people what it would look like without embracing some level of, law and order. But then religion was created for those types, and then it got infiltrated by the dark entities that turned it into a complete and total control system. And it pretty much started off that way. But the reason these darker forces are here, and they're in major revenge, they're majorly pissed off because when Atlantis and Lemuria, the original one, fell, right, a lot of souls got trapped, and then what used to be the embodiment of us just being extensions of Source and being, able to experience life without dogma and rules and books and laws, there was a huge rebellion. There's been 4 or 5 Lucifer rebellions, and it's understandable, but at the same time, it's gotten too far, and the service to self mentality was at the cost of others that didn't deserve it, and that's why intervention happened and the Christ energy entered, and that's why we have to understand that the alchemy is within us. We have to embrace all these aspects. The negative ego is getting busted by the Christ consciousness, but the negative ego doesn't go. It gets purified, and the ego becomes a powerful vehicle for a higher expression. And then Lucifer gets redeemed. He's just a rebellious kid. It's we have to look at everything a child. Humanity's a child, and we don't want humanity dependent on governments or religions or anything. He's just like you don't want your child to stay living at home forever. But there's certain forces that want that, of course, because they're so pissed off and they're angry at, the divine interventions, and they want to play God. And, that's all going to expire because it doesn't have a life force that can sustain itself. But this is where the transhumanism agenda comes in, and how technology is being used to keep people alive, and, false immortality and artificial telepathy and this and that.
Oh, artificial telepathy. Oh, that's and I believe in that, because there is like, even like myself, I had kind of an experience the other day where I was like, I thought I was like hearing something, not hearing like a schizophrenic hearing, but I feel like there's thought process, like, something was there talking to me within my brain. And I know that sounds weird to some of my listeners, but it was like this darker energy, and it's because I was angry that day, and I was dealing with, like, why am I having to deal with all this stress, blah blah blah. And then I was resting, and I could almost feel like this, it almost took over me. And these are the things that we have to be aware of. We have to totally be aware of allowing those type of things to infiltrate our minds, or even get within our frequency, because if we allow it in, then they like to stay.
Oh yeah, no, it's an everyday thing, and really that's what
fight.
When people say, I don't know what my purpose is, it's like, well, start with that one, because that's all a purpose we have together. I mean, that's the greatest thing that we can do. We all have that similar purpose in common. That's really the greatest purpose we have, is to, do energetic maintenance, be a gardener to your own energetic field, pull the weeds, give yourself plenty of sunlight and water, tend to, the emerging flower that you're becoming, and don't let anybody trample on it or spray pesticides on it or whatever.
Right.
And that's really the thing, because we're the greatest vehicle. We're the advanced technology that we need to, protect, and we need to take care of, and not let anything interfere or get inside of it. I mean, even today you and I deal with, every time I hear you talk about stress, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, me too. It's like unbelievable at times. But I know that if I start to take it too seriously and I don't let myself laugh,
right,
it's very easy for me to snap and just all of a sudden
oh
my God, I self-correct immediately, and I'm very humble about it. I'm not like one of those, I'm justified and it's right. I'm like, whoa, sorry.
But I used to be kind of like that sometimes, and I mean, it has gotten me in trouble. And now over the years, I've grown and I'm matured. And
that's all that matters.
And that's all that matters. And, I look back at that, and those are the type of things, I actually kind of glad that I was able to learn from those experiences, because now I can kind of step back and go, this is really not that big of a deal. Like today, I kind of snapped a little bit because my car is, not working correctly, and I had to bring it into my driveway, and I'm like, and I'm just like, this is not happening today, not today. And but then I didn't need to do that. I mean, I've got public transportation just fine. I can get around just fine. There's no big deal, and I can do what I need to do. And,
totally.
And actually, public transportation to me is a kind of a meditative type of environment for me, because I can kind of just put my iPhone on and listen to the tunes and listen to some Dead and not have to worry about anything.
It's such a perfect thing, is to be positive in the face of adversity, because that's really what creates miracles, and it helps us to see that, we can have an amazing time no matter what life throws at us. It's our judgment of it that gets us into trouble. Right. Like today for me, my sons are in independent study, and they've been sort of blowing off class or sort of slacking, and now they have these laws that the parent can go to jail if your kids miss too much class. Yeah. So I'm sitting here like, I'm getting notes in the mail that are threatening, and if they don't turn in this Huckleberry Finn essay, I might get a ticket. And I'm thinking all of a sudden I'm really resenting not Huckleberry Finn, but I'm just like, are you kidding me? I mean, and then it's just like, what? You can't, what good is it going to do to get all wound up? It's like, that's not where
you change it,
Yeah. It's our miracle energy doesn't come from stress, anxiety, and pressure. It comes from grace, ease, acceptance, and being, really grounded and really available on a heart level to the people you're dealing with. And the thing is, even if that person's shut off, talk to the next guy, because no matter how asleep people are, they still have a heart. And we can see that because people, our neighbors, the people that are around us, care about their families. They have integrity. They might not be able to handle the information we're sharing, but it's very easy to make heart-to-heart connections with people that'll really help us in life, even if they don't get this other stuff.
Yeah, and this is it's a pretty easy formula. Just live life as joyfully. I mean, to me, like people look at me and they're like, when I tell them how old I am, I'm 45 years old. They look at me and they're like, "What? You look like you're 28, and you're very youthful as well." And I think it's because we have allowed ourselves to be joyful. We have allowed ourselves to embrace this cosmic energy, this galactic energy that we have, because we all are star beings. So whatever, I don't care what anybody wants to say out there, we are. When it comes down to the quantum physics of everything, we're just a bunch of squiggly lines anyways. Just our brains, are putting together this 3D image that we're projecting.
Totally. It's like we're all jamming and playing instruments and music together, and sometimes it's not in sync, and sometimes if you just give it a little bit more time, people start to really blend in and activate each other and get on each other's wavelength. So what's the point in carrying a low energy? It's going to bring everybody else down, and it's going to sink the vibration of this planet even more.
Right.
And so I love it, because I used to kind of like walk around with my head down a little bit and somewhat cloaked, sort of reclusive, and now it's like, oh my God, the person at the grocery store is so friendly, and oh my God, the bank teller was just so sweet, and they don't know what is going on behind the scenes, but who cares? It's what we're able to connect with, what we have some level of control over, which is being able to harmonize and being able to just recognize what is really pulling us together and what really counts. And it's respect and mutual love and respect.
It's a big symphony. We're playing a symphony. We're creating theater. We're creating art. We are co-creators in this thing we call life.
Absolutely. And anybody who thinks otherwise is really missing out, because we're unbelievably powerful. We're just as powerful as creating blockages and obstacles as we are great opportunities and synchronicities. We have to just, get our frequency in alignment with, the synchronicities and the magic.
Right. And that's what the elite know. And that's what the some of the darker energies and the darker elite understand, is how to do this and how to manifest this. And that's why we have what we have, is because they've known this power the whole time.
And that's why we're being duped.
We're starting to catch up.
Yeah, totally. And they really have underestimated our intelligence, because with all the false flags, with all the distortions of the masculine and feminine, with all the subliminals and all the programmings and social engineering,
I read something.
We're still rising.
I read something about the Ebola guy puked or something like that. I haven't had a chance to really read the news. Did you hear about this? And
I've been reading a little bit, but not that yet.
One of the guys, he puked. The helicopter was taking a shot of it, and while they were cleaning it up, they were spraying it with a water hose. And I'm like, okay. That makes a lot of sense. I'm like, why would you? Because, according to the scientists, Ebola can, it can spread, by just being out there, or I don't know, and it's just all false flags. It's just everything, and I don't allow myself to get into this frequency. I don't even want to know about it.
I know. I don't watch the news. People are like, talking about current affairs, and I have just no idea. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't put my attention on it. Sometimes I do, just to observe it so I can speak about it. But there's always huge false flags. Just as humanity is about to take a huge leap in its consciousness, when there's major alignments happening cosmically, that's usually when they plan something huge, so that instead of getting to the next level together, it's like a virus gets spread of just fear and, school shootings and, oh my gosh, and we miss that opportunity because we're focusing on the theater that they're throwing us. And even if we all did die, so the hell what? We've been there, done that. Right. Sorry.
Well, I find it funny that, here the big problem is ISIS. And now, the first thing that when I saw that, I'm like, what Arabic type of terrorist group would use a goddess name?
Oh, I know. It's just, this is what they do with reversals. They take something that actually has real significance, and they invert it and twist it around, and they slap it on something that, is the opposite energy. And they've been doing that with Christ. They've been doing it with the goddess. They've been doing it, with symbols and the pentagram, the Nazi symbol.
The sun. A lot of people don't understand that the symbol of the Nazi is just a reverse of the sun symbol, the dark sun. That's right. It. It's just, it's been around for, in ancient Eastern philosophies and Eastern Europe or Eastern Asian religions for a long time, way before Hitler or the Nazi regime ever even came around.
Yeah, totally.
But we only got a couple more minutes here, Laura. Why don't you tell everybody how they can catch up with you, how they can find out more information about you and all that good stuff?
Awesome. My website is cosmicgaiasophia.com, And you can find me on Facebook. My name's Laura Magdalene Eisenhower.